And we're live. So hi Leah. I think this is the first time I'm seeing you on a call. So like I think this is the first time I'm seeing you. I've seen your pictures on Twitter. I've seen your pictures constantly on Twitter, and I was like, who is this pretty lady? And I reached out to you. Yeah, and I saw you were doing like a lot of should I streams, live streams on Twitch.
hmm
Yeah, and it was really cool. I checked you out on Twitch and I saw like really cool stuff.
Yeah, I started doing live streams on Twitch kind of when I started trying to get into web development. So I had only
Oh,
been coding like I think like 3 months at the time I started streaming, and I was like
okay,
streaming a lot. Like recently I haven't streamed as much cuz it's
okay,
kind of harder to balance both when you're working full time.
right, right. So, did you start streaming when you were like I don't want to use the word jobless, but like before you started working, was that when you started streaming live on Twitch?
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay,
before doing software development, I worked as a high school math teacher. So I
okay,
quit teaching in December of, I think, 2021. I quit teaching. And
okay,
then in January of 2022, I started learning web development. So I was learning it full time. I didn't have any other job at that point. So that's when I started streaming as well. And it was a
oh.
lot easier to balance with no job.
uh, that makes sense because I also struggle with like doing my other stuff like I do for my brand or for my things I do in my spare time. I struggle
Mhm.
to balance it with my work because I also work full time as a technical writer, and it's not easy, trying to
Mhm.
strike that balance. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
not.
where are you based? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
So I'm in the US, so the
Okay.
United States. I'm from Florida, but I live in Colorado.
Oh, cool, nice. So I live in Nigeria. I live in Port Harcourt State, Nigeria, or rather Port Harcourt City, River State, Nigeria. So it's like a city in another state.
Mhm.
If that makes sense. So yeah, so it's really great to have you here. I think we've had like 6 persons joining, so we have more persons join. I think we can get started now. It's like 5 minutes past five. Yeah, 6 minutes past five right now. So yeah, so do you have any other thing to say before we get started?
Um, Not, I don't think so. My brain's
Okay.
still a little on lag 'cause it's the morning.
But have you started work for today?
No, I'm gonna start it after this ends. That way I don't have to. Sometimes if I start work and then I take a break, it's hard to come back to
Yeah.
work. So I was like, I'll just start it after.
Okay. Nice. Like this is already 5 p.m. my time, so I spent the entire day working, and I'm still working actually. So when we're done, I'm going to go back to work.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think we can start. We can start right away. It's like 6 minutes past already. So I have some questions for you. I don't know if you don't mind, but it's a coffee chat. We don't have coffee. Do you have coffee?
A big
Oh,
coffee.
I actually got coffee.
Yeah, I did.
So I don't really have coffee. Yeah, it's gonna be weird taking coffee by 5 p.m. because it's like evening already. So that works. At least one of us has coffee. So I'm going to be asking you some questions, and then I was about to say that it's a coffee chat, so it's not formal, so you can feel free to like digress and talk about any other thing related to the topic of today. So like the topic of today is how to get your first job as a developer. Hi Salam. I don't know if you can see the comment section, Leah, from your end. Can you?
Not
Okay.
right now. I was just looking at the StreamYard, so I can't. But I'm about to go into the YouTube live, and then I should be able to.
Okay, cool. Right. So, hi Salam, hi Ellie, hi Anthony. Okay, sorry, that's you, right? Ellie. I'm trying to. Okay, sorry, that's not you. I thought that was you. I thought Ellie was you.
Oh, me? No. Ellie's one of my friends.
Okay, nice. I think I should also like send a reminder on Twitter to persons that would like to join. Let me do that in a second. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, Ellie. We've never been pictured in the same room before. We might be the same person.
That's funny, no. She said, "Oh my God," she said, "Me and Leah are secretly the same person." So she's like your clone.
Mm-hmm. I think we're gonna meet this month. We're both going to that conference in Wisconsin, so we'll actually be pictured together. We might break the internet. We'll be two clones in one room.
Oh, really? But do you guys look alike?
I think we might look kind of similar. Like I think we both have like dark hair that's
Oh, okay.
like wavy-ish. But
Oh, okay.
Ellie's a lot taller than me. I think Ellie's like 5'8" and I'm like 5'4" and a half.
Okay, that could work. You guys will have to dress alike as well, so it can be it'll be hard to spot the difference.
Yeah, we'll have to plan it. We'll have to coordinate.
Okay, so I'm like dropping like reminders on LinkedIn and Twitter. So I saw a couple of persons that were interested in joining, so I'm just sending a reminder to them.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So I think we're good to go now. Right, but I'm really excited doing this with you actually. I didn't know if you'd when I sent you a message on Twitter, I wasn't sure if you respond. So I was like,
Mhm.
let me try. And then you were really welcoming, like you were nice. So you are nice. So yeah. Okay, so I'm going to get started for the agenda for today. So if you're here, you're probably curious about how you can get your first job as a developer, or you're already a developer and you're like curious about learning some other cool stuff that Leah will share with us today. So Leah is yeah. So I'm going to read out Leah's bio in a sec. So I know Leah is a full stack developer, but she's not just a full stack developer. She's yeah, so her full name is Leah Thompson, and she's like I said, a full stack developer. And she was a former teacher with a background in pure mathematics who now works and she works currently as a full stack developer, right? She's like I'm
Mhm.
saying full stack developer like a lot of times. So she's also she's also a 100 devs bootcamp alumni. So yeah, so that's who Leah is. So Leah, do you have any other introduction before I proceed? Would you like to say something else?
Um, I guess just to so kind of recaps the same summary, but so like Debbie said, I have my bachelor's of science in mathematics. I
Yeah.
graduated college with my degree in March or in May of 2020, so like right when COVID was happening, and
Oh,
when
okay.
COVID was getting bad in the United States. So due
Yeah.
to that, I ended up going into teaching because my husband was still in college and I
Oh,
needed to
okay.
like make money to support us because I couldn't like
Okay.
move at the time because A, it was hard to move due to COVID, but B, he was still in college and we didn't know if the university was going to open back up, so we had to
Okay.
like stay in the same area, like in the same little college town. But a lot of the jobs that I was applying to, they
Yeah.
went on like a hiring freeze because of COVID, so there was like no other career for me to do, so that's why I ended up going into teaching. um,
Okay.
which I never really wanted to do teaching and I had no education or I had no education background. So like
Yeah.
I had never taken any like education classes. My classes I took in college were like pure mathematics. It was like
Okay.
theory based math and like doing proofs and stuff that sets you up for like a graduate degree in mathematics. Um
Okay.
Nothing for like teaching. So I
Okay. I get.
started teaching in like the height of COVID and I was teaching like high schoolers. So it was just like a really like a
Yeah, yeah. I think I have never like taught in it like a school before, but
Mhm,
I think I've done like a couple of teaching online, but like not like a job, yeah, description, like yeah, a job role rather. So it was
mhm.
just me just teaching. But I think I love teaching, but something I'm interested in, obviously. So like were you teaching mostly mathematics or you were teaching other subjects?
It was just mathematics. My first year I taught just geometry. And so
Okay.
I would have like 30 kids in each class. I had I think 6 classes, 30 kids in each class. So it was
Okay.
like 150, 160 students total.
Wow.
Um And
Wow.
then my second year, I taught algebra 2, algebra 1, and geometry. And again, I had like 150 students. And
Wow.
Sophia and I had a coffee chat, I think last week, and we were talking about the
Yeah, I saw that.
differences
Yeah.
between like schools in Nigeria and
In
schools in the
school.
US is very
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
How like the students act, and it was really funny to talk about.
Yeah, I think I saw a tweet about that like
Mhm.
last week or last 2 weeks there about. That's cool actually. Oh yeah. So Ayodiji is saying, oh wow, that's a lot of kids.
It was a
Yeah.
lot.
So yeah, sure. I forgot to mention if for everyone that's joined so far, if you have any questions, please you can drop them in the comment section and we'll get to them. So yeah, so the first question I have for you, Leah, is I think you've given us a bit of your background in
Mhm.
terms of mathematics, but now I would love you to share your journey to becoming a full stack developer.
So since like I just said, I didn't really want to go into teaching. I always had a plan to like once my husband graduated college and got his job for me
Yeah,
to quit teaching and try to transition into something I wanted to do.
yeah,
Because I always wanted to do more like something with applied math. Um
okay,
and my husband, he works as a software engineer, so he got his degree in computer science.
yeah,
So he was doing like front end development, and he started like telling me, he's like, why don't you look into doing like an online boot camp or something for it, because I was considering going back to get my master's, but that's very expensive.
okay,
So I started looking into online boot camps, and I found 100 devs, which is a free full stack web development kind of like boot camp. um,
okay,
it teaches you the MERN stack, which is like MongoDB, Express, React, and Node. So it's like a full JavaScript stack. So
okay,
that started, I quit teaching in December. I saw there was a Reddit post about it, and the second cohort was starting in like, I think it was like January 9th of 2022. So I saw that and I
okay,
was like, you know what, I'll just give this a try. It was like free. So Leon Noel, which is like the creator of 100 Devs, he was live streaming the classes on Twitch. So I was like, you know what, it doesn't hurt to try it because it's free. So I started watching the courses and I really liked it, and I started doing that full time. So I would
okay,
spend like 20 to 30 hours a week, like learning web development,
yeah,
like doing the homework he gave us, watching the classes, building
yeah,
the projects. And like each time I would try to tweak things about the projects, like change little things. Um, Stuff like that. I just kind of threw myself into it full time and kept um so I kept learning. Then I started tweeting about my projects and stuff I was learning, and I also started streaming about it on Twitch. And then I ended up getting my first developer role in November of that year.
that's cool. Nice. So, what was your first job like?
My first job was actually kind of awful. So my first job was actually as like an email developer. Um
Okay,
so email developer is where you develop emails for like marketing companies specifically. So when I
okay,
say develop emails, you're writing like the HTML and CSS for these emails, but email clients are very different from like just web pages in the sense that there's like 100, I think there's like 106 of them, because like each operating system has its own version of an email client. So like you have
yeah,
like Gmail on iOS, Gmail on Chrome, Gmail on Safari. Like you have like all these variations of them, and each one has different versions of like attributes and stuff that it supports, or like different built-in
okay,
support for like HTML elements and stuff. So you
yeah.
have to kind of default to using HTML table layouts, which is like basically you're writing code like you're in 1999. Um, so it's not very fun and it's very
Yeah,
stressful.
I guess. Yeah. Yeah, when you said writing code like 1999, it kind of reminded me because I studied computer science in university. So it kind of reminded me of when we were like writing QBasic, and that was in like 2018, yeah, thereabouts.
Mhm.
And it felt so old. I felt so useless. But you were using yours, like yours was actually useful compared to what I learned in school. Yeah, so yeah. So okay, I think we're good. We can go to the next question now. Yeah, okay, cool. So I think we've covered what inspired you to become a developer.
Mhm.
Did you cover that? What inspired you to become a developer?
I think so. We can cover it too. So I had said
Okay.
that like I always wanted to go into applied math because I
Yeah.
always wanted what I really enjoy about math and why I changed why I ended up majoring in mathematics is because I really like problem solving. Like I like when you have something that's like really complicated and you have to break it down into smaller chunks to like solve it so that you can like figure out a solution for it. And I like having to do like the research and digging to find like resources to solve my problem.
Yeah.
And programming, you do that all the time. So I decided to try programming because I did take two programming courses in college, but the last one I took kind of scared me away from programming because the professor was
Really?
just kind of awful.
Wow,
Hmm.
wow.
So the professor was a grad student, and I think it was his first time ever teaching the course, and it was like learning. It was like how to program in C for non CSE majors. So it was for non computer science majors. But he comes in here and he's teaching this course by like drawing binary trees on the board. He was teaching purely off PowerPoints. We didn't code once in class. We would code outside of class, but in class we wouldn't code at all. He would just teach on like PowerPoints and just like talk the whole time. Um, and one time he gave us homework and we would have like three projects. Like he gave us homework every week, but one homework assignment, we had like three projects we had to build. One of like I don't remember what two of them were, but I know one part of that homework assignment was to code a full chess game in C.
Wow.
A full chess game. And he's like, you know what? If y'all want for extra credit, if you get AI working on this, then I'll give you extra credit. Like, honey, I can't even get the real game working. Like, I'm 800 lines
Yeah.
in. It's not even functioning right. Like, it was awful. I got like a B minus in the class because it was so curved. Oh, also, he showed up an hour and a half late to our final, and then as soon as he shows up, a fire alarm goes off and we have to stand outside in the cold for like 40 minutes. Once we finally get inside, we get like 20, 30 minutes to do this final exam where you're just like handwrite code on it and everything. And he didn't want to allow us to redo it. And he didn't want to curve the final. He was like, you'll have to show up tomorrow to retake this. And people were like, no, I literally have to move out of my dorm today. I cannot take this tomorrow. And he didn't want to curve it. And I was like, you were like an hour and a half late. Like it was bad. It was very bad.
No, that's not a nice experience at all. Like, so were you guys expected to build the game application like on paper or like what? Because during my time, they would literally ask us to write like the program on paper.
For the homework, we wrote it like actually we actually wrote the code in like I think we used C Lion, but we like wrote it in the IDE and then like for him to check your homework, you would run it. He had like coded tests for it or whatever. So you would run it against the test that he created. And it's like if you pass them all, then like you get an A. For that assignment, so many of us couldn't figure it out. So he had to go line through our code and like give us partial credit for it. Um, but for the like test, we had to like hand code. We had to like handwrite code on the test.
That's so I think we can go to the next question. That's actually very crazy. Like so what skills do you think are essential for someone starting out in the development field?
Ooh, I'd say something that's really important for being a software development or develop not being a software developer is like being a problem solver, like being able to solve problems yourself or at least like attempt to solve them yourself before you like ask someone for help. Because that's like a big part of the job is like getting an error and then like copying and pasting that error in Google and like doing some of your own research and like trying some things before you ask someone else. Um, like of course like other skills to be a software developer is like learn a programming language and stuff like that, but it's not even like the programming language itself that's so important. It's more like your skills of how you solve problems and like knowing that you can. because if you have that, as well as like a strong, um, what was it, a strong foundation of like the concepts, like the basic computer programming concepts. Like if you learn classes and you learn like the different array methods and stuff like that, a lot of that carries over language through language. So it's like if you get a good understanding of like what's going on, like the basics of programming, basic concepts, and then also like you know how to problem solve, I would say those are like really good skills to have.
Okay, that's nice. So I have another question for you. So do you recommend any specific online courses or certifications for beginners?
Oop, brought up something weird. Yeah, so I recommend 100 devs. Let me share it in the YouTube chat. I think I'm signed in, so it should let me. Okay, so that's Leon's website about 100 devs. There's not currently a live cohort, so he hasn't really streamed on Twitch in a while. But all of his courses, or like all of the classes that he did for the cohort I was part of, are on YouTube for free. So you can like watch all of the YouTube videos still. And he's still like everything he taught, because this was in 2022, is still relevant to this day. There's still people who join 100 devs like to this day who have gotten jobs recently, like even with the job market being what it is. So I still think 100 devs is a great course. What I enjoyed so much about 100 devs is it has a big community. Um, so like I think the Discord server has like 40,000 something people in it. So you can join it and you have people who are always willing to like help you to answer your questions, even just to like motivate you and encourage you, because it can like suck when you're job hunting or when you're like learning how to program and you try to do something but like you can't figure it out, you know. It can get really discouraging at times, and the 100 devs community always helped like motivate me. um I also like free code camp, and free code camp's pretty good. Obviously, the MDN is a good resource if you're learning JavaScript. Um, those are probably my big ones. If I think of other ones later, I'll drop them in the chat too. But those are my big ones.
Okay, great. Thanks. That's nice. I hope you guys are getting something from what Leah is saying. So no, the questions I'm actually dropping in the comment section are to be displayed on the screen, not to be answered in the comment section. Usbar. So another question I have for you, Leah, is how important is it is building a portfolio when applying for jobs? So how important is building a portfolio when applying for jobs?
I think it's important to have a portfolio. This might be a hot take, but I feel like a lot of like I feel like the portfolio isn't as important as a lot of people think it is, because I feel like a lot of jobs and like people don't even look at the portfolio. It's mainly more like, do you have one? But they're not like really digging into your portfolio. Like some companies might do it, but I feel like a lot like just don't ever look at your portfolio. I feel like your portfolio is probably more important if you're trying to do freelancing. Like having that portfolio to show like potential clients is more helpful. Um, I feel like a lot of companies that you would be applying for probably would be more likely to look at your GitHub than your portfolio. Because if they check your GitHub and they're like, oh yeah, she's written code, like here's her code I can go through, that probably means more to them than seeing the portfolio. But I would at least build a portfolio. I used a template for mine. I think it's from HTML5 up. So I just grabbed a template, built my little portfolio. I haven't even like updated it in like 2 years at this point. I would say that's a good start. Like just make a portfolio using the projects you have. They don't have to be really crazy, because I don't think a lot of people check it, but it is important to at least have one.
Yeah, you made reference of Fiverr. Can you share the link, or you can share the link with me in the private comment, and I'll share it with everyone. Or if you have access to the public comment section, you can also share it there for other persons that would like to use that template.
Yeah, it
So
should be
yeah.
in the public chat. It's html5up.net. I did share a link to it. I
Okay.
don't know if it's like clickable.
Um, you shared a link.
Mm-hmm. Do you see it?
Um, no, not yet. No, I don't.
I wonder if my chats aren't going through.
Um, okay, I think you said HTML. Is it HTML?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, HTML. Fiverr, right?
Or five up. So
Five.
five.
Oh, can you
Mm-hmm.
spell that, please? Can you spell that?
Yeah. So HTML5 and then UP and then
Okay.
.net.
Okay. Okay, I
Did you
think
see?
okay, I get that. So I actually spelled five as five, like I didn't know you were referring to HTML5. So I spelled
Oh.
five as like FIVE. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I've pasted the link in the comment section for anyone that would love to use that template. So yeah, so the next question is what are the common mistakes job seekers make during the application process?
I would say okay, I would say some common mistakes are people get stuck in like tutorial hell. So they get stuck in like thinking they need one more project for their portfolio before they can apply. And then they just get stuck doing all these tutorials and having like all these kind of cookie cutter projects rather than like say you do a tutorial for like a to-do list. So you build it, but you build it exactly like the tutorial, you know? So it's like a cookie cutter one that like probably thousands of other people have rather than like building something that relates to their background. A project I built that really helped me in job interviews was I built a multiplayer math quiz app. So it was like an application where people could go on and like choose what arithmetic operator they wanted to be quizzed on. So like what math operation, so like addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. You click it, it would generate 10 questions. It would give you like a lobby code that you could share with your friends and they could join the same game lobby and like you would compete against each other on like math quizzes. So like that tied into my background, of course, because I taught high school math and I have my degree in mathematics. And being able to talk about that, that's a project like not a lot of people have on their portfolio, you know? So it shows like that I did something different. I was able to talk through all the steps I took to build this project. I was able to talk through like problems I encountered and how I solved them. And by doing this, you encounter problems that you wouldn't have otherwise. So like if you're following a tutorial, they take a lot of the problem solving out, like they take a lot of the problem solving portion of like building the project out of it, you know, because they're telling you what to do. So you don't encounter as many problems. Whereas you when you build it yourself, you run into like all the problems and you have to figure out everything. Like so it helps you a lot more and it's more impressive when you're applying. Um and I would also say like networking is really big and a lot of people might not like network early on. Another thing, like Leon always said in 100 devs, like he always pushed us to network because he said like you're more likely to get a job from like networking than you are than just pushing apply on like a job application. So like really try to network with people, but when you network with them, don't just like don't just start talking to someone thinking of what they can do for you. Start talking to them just to become their friend, you know? Like if someone starts talking to me and they're instantly like asking me for a referral or like asking me for something, I'm not as likely to see that person as a friend because it feels like they want something from me, you know? It feels more like they see me as like a transaction than like an actual human being that they'd want to be friends with. So like go into networking as just like trying to be friends with someone and not just like, "Hi, my name is Leah. Give me a job, please." Like I that might work sometimes, but it for like 99% of the time that's just not going to work.
Oh, that's cool. We have a couple of comments in the comment section, but let's move to the next question. I'm trying to like stick to the time so we
Yeah.
can like if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment section. So can you describe your experience with coding interviews?
I sorry. Um I did I'm trying to think of how many interviews I did. I think I had like 3 technical interviews probably. Um like with different companies. I know one company I had like 4 interviews with them. My experience with coding interviews is just making sure, like, so the coding interviews I did, you would have like your first interview would be like a behavioral one where you're just talking to like the recruiter, and then the second one or something would be a like technical interview. Um, the technical interviews for the most part were pretty similar. Like one of my technical interviews was pretty much like a leak code or code wars problem. Like it was like a little challenge I had to work through while someone was watching me work through it, and I had to like talk through my process on it. Um, another or two of the other ones were more like practical. They were more like stuff you would do on the job. So like the one for like the first job I accepted, I had to tweak some things in the HTML page. I had to like add some new styles in the CSS page, and then on like a JavaScript file, I had to kind of like show that I understood how like arrays and objects and like nested objects worked and stuff. So I had to just like there was like a file with like a huge object, and I was asked like console log this specific property, or like now you want to alter it in some way, can you do that, like certain things like that. The one for my most recent job, I like I use TypeScript and React for this job, so and Tailwind. So the interview was basically just like make me a card component and like do all these different styles for it and stuff like that. So it was more like applicable to the job rather than just a general coding challenge.
Okay, that's cool. So we have like, I feel like reading the comments out from the comment section. So I don't even know what's going on in the comment section. So
They're we all like troll each other. So every time
okay,
Ellie's on stream, because Ellie also streams on Twitch, every time Ellie's on stream,
okay,
we'll be in her chat like trolling, like read my comments or like stuff like that. So now they're
okay,
trolling here.
okay, cool, cool. That's cool.
I'm
So
sorry.
yeah, no, it's fine. I was just wondering what's going on. Like,
We're just goofy.
that's cool. It's actually cool. So yeah. So yeah. So how do you suggest preparing for behavioral interviews?
One thing that really helped me. Okay, so this isn't so much behavioral as like the technical interviews, like the coding challenges. One thing that really helped me with the coding challenges is I did Code Wars challenges and Leak Code. And I would stream while working on those as well. So I would like have people watching me work through them, and I would talk aloud my like thought process on those problems. So I got practice like talking through those challenges, like breaking down my thought process, as well as like having people watch me do it. Because it's a different thing you doing it by yourself and then like you doing it in an interview while like people are just watching you solve it. Because like that's basically how the technical interview is. You'll have like people in the call, and then they're like telling you to solve this coding challenge, and then they're just watching you in silence like solve it. So if you're used to like talking through the problem, having people like hear you talking through this problem and solving it, but like not giving you feedback, that helps. For behavioral questions, I would just write down like a prescripted answer to a lot of them, and I would practice that answer over and over again. Sometimes they didn't ask those kind of questions, but if you already have like general answers to different kind of behavioral questions, it just made me feel more comfortable answering those kind of questions in interviews, as well as helped me keep my answers more precise, so I didn't like ramble as much. Because if you give longer answers, it can be harder for them to like follow along with what you're saying, and you want to make sure like you can keep it as precise as possible.
Okay, that's really cool. That's cool. So yeah, yeah. So Ellie says, okay, she says, really great questions. She really likes all the questions. Yeah. So I don't think I've seen any questions yet in the comment section. So I'm guessing no one has a question yet. So I'll keep asking the questions. So yeah. So what resources would you recommend for practicing coding challenges?
I don't know if my comments were working earlier, because I don't think my one to HTML5 up shared.
That's fine. I shared the link with them, so you don't have to worry about that.
Here, let me. Now my computer's going slow too. I'm trying to like load Code Wars so I can
Oh,
either
okay.
send you the link through Twitter or on here. Lead Code is definitely a great resource. I think
Mhm.
there's a like additional resource as well for Lead Code. I forgot what it's called, but it's like one that has like kind of a roadmap um for I think it's like supposed to be 30 days or something that you do these Leak Code challenges. So it like breaks up the challenges under like different days that you do like 3 or 4 challenges a day. And it helps like if you do all of those, it helps you build like a pretty good what's the word? I don't know, understanding of like data structures and algorithms because it like starts you on arrays and stuff like that. And then maybe it gets into like objects, and then you'll start getting into like binary search trees. You might do some like you'll get into like hash map ones. You'll get into I think it starts throwing some like permutation problems at you and stuff like that. But I can't remember what website has that like roadmap, but it's just like a roadmap that links to different elite code problems. Um, let me. Okay. Okay, so there's Code Wars and then Elite Code. I think it might be Neat Code I'm thinking of. Sorry, it's sending as individual ones. Okay, I sent you 2 links in Twitter since I don't think they're sending for me and the I don't think this is what I was thinking of, but Neat Code is also good. There's that. Neat Code is also nice because they link videos to how to solve like a lot of Leet Code questions. Because Leet Code can be kind of hard to start out with. Code Wars is a good place to start because it's kind of like easier version of Leet Code problems. So it's still like coding challenges, but they start out on like an easier level. Once you get to like a 6 Q in Code Wars, it's pretty easy to switch to Leet Code. Um, and then Leak Code is more so what companies like Google, Amazon, like big tech companies, they ask, I think like Leak Code mediums or Leak Code hards. So if you get comfortable doing Leak Code questions, I feel like that is a really great thing to help prepare you for technical interviews, regardless of if you plan on applying to like FANG companies or not.
Okay, that's great. So we have another question. What would be your or what would your elevator pitch be?
Um, my elevator pitch, like in interviews and stuff, was normally just my background, um, like my about me kind of. So they would like ask me about myself, and I would say, um, okay, hold on, I'd prepare myself because I'm like rambling a lot today. So I'd say,
That's fine.
I have my degree in mathematics, so I went to the University of Florida and I majored in mathematics there. I graduated during COVID. So, since my husband was still in college to help support us, I ended up going into teaching, but I always knew that I wanted to pursue software engineering full time when I was able to, because I took some programming courses in college that ignited my love for programming. So, when my husband graduated from college and got his first job in tech, I quit teaching so I could start learning web development full time. So in January of 2022, I started 100 Devs learning full stack web development, specifically the MERN stack. I spent, was it 1,000+ hours building projects and collaborating with other team members to learn the programming fundamentals. I also spent 200 hours on my capstone project, which was a multiplayer math quiz application that I built using Flask, Socket.io, MongoDB, and React, which allows students to compete against each other when solving math quizzes. I said something like that. Like that was my elevator pitch. It's kind of rusty, and I haven't changed it since like I was hardcore interviewing back in 2022. But that's kind of the gist of my elevator pitch. It's always like telling my background, tying my background into like tying my math background into programming and saying like how it makes me passionate for programming, and then like briefly going over projects or something.
Okay, that's great. I hope that answers your question, Utba. So we have another question from Ellie. How can you get confident to do lead code on stream? I think my brain will just not work at all.
I think so. A and Caesar start out with Code Wars on stream. My first stream was actually a Code Wars stream. So my first stream, I was just like, I'm gonna go live working through these problems as I'm learning like array methods and stuff. It is very stressful at first. Like I felt dumb all the time, but chat like the I would feel like the way you get confident is just by doing it, because I was very stressed out, but then people in chat would be like, "Oh, you're doing great," or "Oh, I love the way you're approaching this." And like a lot of people in chat were very encouraging, so it made me feel more comfortable doing it, and just seeing how much people like enjoyed doing the problems with me. But there were a lot of times that I would spend like 3 hours trying to work through a problem, because I would like choose a really hard math code wars or leak code problem, and then I would get stuck on it and I would like refuse to give up. So it's like 3 hours and I'm still trying to solve this problem on stream.
Okay. Yeah, so cool. So yeah, so Utba is saying I would use CodePen for HTML, CSS, JS practice. Okay. So we have another question from
Mhm.
Shash Hank. I'm learning JavaScript, but sometimes I get confused about how much I need to know to land my first job. Or should we focus more on competitive programming rather?
I wouldn't focus on competitive programming unless your goal is to end up at like Google, Amazon, any of the really big tech companies. If your goal is just to get a job in tech, I would focus more on projects. Um, so I would say, I'm trying to think, like, you don't need like a ton of projects to apply. Like, I when I finished my like big capstone project, which was my full stack application, the multiplayer math quiz app that I had built like front to like front end, back end, I built all of it, not really using a tutorial, but just building it myself. Once I finished that project is when I really started focusing on applying to jobs. So I would say once you have a like large project to show off and like a large project to talk about. So not just like something to show, but something you can talk about. So you can talk about, this is why I made this application. This is how I built it. This is the problems I encountered. Something that's not just like on a tutorial, but something that you made yourself and like figured out how to make it yourself. That is like when you're ready to apply to jobs. I mean, you might even be able to get a job before that, right? Because like a part of it's just applying. It's really easy to feel like you don't know enough to apply for the job. I felt like that and I still feel like that sometimes. Like sometimes I'm still just like, do I know enough to call myself a developer? And I've been working as a developer for 2 years. So it's like you just have to kind of push yourself past that and just start applying to jobs, cuz you might get hired before you even think you're ready as well. But if you have like a really large project, like a full stack project, then I would say you're ready to apply to full stack positions.
Okay, thank you for that, Leah. I hope your question has been answered. Shashank. Sorry, I'm struggling with your name. So yeah, so he Salam has another question for you, Leah. He
Mhm.
says I'm also an upcoming front end developer, currently learning JavaScript. With the emergence of AI, what are the challenges and how can I stand out? Hearing that to get a job is now difficult. Okay.
Ooh, so I'm not a big AI person, in the sense that like I don't use Chat GPT or anything like that. I've never built like projects using AI. Um, and I'm just not a huge fan of of AI myself. I would say like you can still get a job without using AI at all. Um, and I feel like using AI too much can actually hinder a person trying to get into a dev position. And like by that, I just mean if you are relying on chat gpt and like any of these like ai resources to like give you code, like not just if you're just asking it a question like explain this to me or something like that, that's fine. But if you're just like having it generate code for you and just using it, I feel like you're not going to learn as much yourself. And also AI sucks sometimes and it will give you awful code. Like it'll give you buggy code. And if you're just learning, you don't know how to solve that yet because you're still learning like the code itself. So it's harder to catch those little bugs. And I feel like it would just make it even harder for you. Like it just introduces more headaches. So it is a great resource, but also like it has its pros and cons, you know, and just because you see everyone using AI doesn't mean you have to use AI. Like if you interview in jobs now, unless it's like an AI machine learning position, most times they're probably not even going to ask you about AI, you know? So even if you just build projects like I did, like stuff like that, and you're applying for these roles, I would say that's still good enough. And I still think like how to stand out is just building projects that aren't just cookie cutter projects that like you can find on anyone else's portfolio. Um, is like the main thing for how to stand out. I mean, if you are interested in AI, there are a ton of like tutorials for AI projects and stuff out there. So you could do something like that. But in general, for a dev role, you don't really need anything with AI, is my opinion, at least.
Thank you so much, Leah. I hope that answers your question, Salam. And then I think there's still one more question.
I think Jen has one.
Yeah, Jen. Yeah. So, Jen says, I've been told that to get a role as a developer, you need to have multiple projects with product level code. How would you define production level?
I would say okay, my first answer to this probably isn't really helpful. But honestly, Jen, when I got hired for my first dev role, and I was like talking about my multiplayer math quiz app a lot in interviews and stuff like that, that code for that application, I won't even touch now because if I go back into it and I make any change, it breaks things. Like if I change anything in that code, something else breaks, you know? So I just don't touch it. It's like one of those things like you don't touch that code base with like a 10-foot pole. That's that code base. And I got hired to like be a developer. So I would say like you don't really need to have production level code to be hired as a dev because production level code I feel like is very subjective. To me now, as someone like 2 years in my career, production level code would be code that like you've written tests for. So you have like some unit test or something written for it. You have reusable components, like because I'm thinking from like a react developer, like react full stack developer kind of mind frame. So I would expect to have like reusable components in it instead of just having all my code in like one component and having like multiple components that are similar. I would like have reusable components I could bring in and use in like other pages and stuff, so I'm not repeating as much code. I would have unit tests, things like that, just like trying to have like as clean of code as possible, to where there's not as many problems. Also, I would use TypeScript and not JavaScript because of the typing is a godsend when it comes to like writing cleaner code and making sure you don't um, have a bunch of errors that if you're using JavaScript you won't find out until like way down the line, whereas TypeScript catches it pretty
Okay.
fast. Hopefully that answered your question, Jen. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry
I
about this.
yeah, so Jen, just let us know if your question was answered. Um yeah, okay. So I think I have one more question for you, Leah, before we call it a day. So how do you balance technical knowledge with soft skills during interviews?
I So the way to balance them, I would think, is I try to be like as technical as possible, but while also showing my personality. Um, so not like even when I'm doing a technical interview and I'm like solving a problem, still trying to like kind of like joke or just like communicate with the interviewer. So it's like you're not just trying to solve this problem. Like it's not just all about the solution, it's about how you go about solving it. So if you're like interviewing and someone's watching you, you can say like I would expect to like, well, I would expect the parameters to be of this type, and then this is how I would like think to start it. And like you just talk to them, you know, you just try to have a conversation with them too, and not just get too sucked into um
Yeah,
the
technical
actual
stuff.
technical part. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. So yeah, the soft skills are still as much they're as important as technical skills because I
Mhm.
mean your job recruiter or your interviewer has already seen your resume, they've seen your CV, they've seen your portfolio. So for the technical aspect, they already have like a good understanding of what you can do. So I think that interview, except, or would you say this also applies to a technical interview because usually there are several stages interview stages where you have the first interview stage where you get to meet um what's usually the first stage like just the first stage usually just get to know you, I think, and then the
Mhm.
second stage usually the technical assessment stage or something like that before you get to meet the CTO or whoever you're supposed to meet in the company. So would you say you need to also express your soft skills in the technical stage, the technical interview stage? I don't know if you get my question.
I think I think so because part of like you getting the job isn't just like can you code? It's like would they want to work with you? Like,
Yeah,
do they like you? Are you someone that you they could work with? And especially if you're working on a team, like some programming jobs you might work more just like on projects by yourself, but then others you're
yeah,
like collaborating a lot more. If it's a position you're collaborating a lot more, showing them like you're someone who's easy to collaborate with and you're someone easy to work with and stuff will make them
yeah,
want to pick you over someone else. Like it's how
yeah.
you can stand out in interviews too.
Mhm.
In the interview for my first job, it was like a mix of a behavioral and technical interview. And I was like talking to the person about my teaching background and kind of laughing about like some teaching things and talking about that.
Yeah.
And like he ended the interview and he's like, I want to hire you, you know? So like
Cool.
I say it's important.
Yeah, it's really important. Yeah. So, Utba is saying, I agree with Leah. Someone employer gives you hard problem for you not to solve it, but more like showing your thought process.
Mhm.
Okay. So Ellie says, I think I joke too much. Why is it so hard to act professional?
Well, you
So
got a
yeah.
job though.
So yeah, we have one more question from, I think this is the last question we'll take because we're like supposed to end this coffee chat
Mhm.
in 4 minutes. So we have one more question from Shashank. So yeah, so he's or he or she, I don't know if it's a lady. So he's asking how long did it take you to realize you were ready to get a job?
I I would say once I was at the point where I could build full stack applications like kind of by
Yeah.
myself, I knew I was ready to get a job. I waited till I finished my big
Mm-hmm.
full stack project to apply. But I would say like whatever stack you're learning, once you can think of a project idea you want to build, right? Like any full stack project idea, and you can just build
Yeah.
it yourself and like find different resources to work through the problems by yourself, then you're ready
Yeah.
to apply.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if that answers your question, Shashank.
Oh wait, he
Yeah.
asked how long too. It was I started learning in January and I started applying like full time by September. So it took me
Okay.
like 8 to 9 months of like full time learning for me to feel comfortable though. That's like a
Yeah.
personal thing.
Okay, cool. Cool. So yeah, so I think we're exhausted. I had some other questions I wanted to ask you, but I want to, respect the time so
Mhm.
you can get on with your daily activity. So yeah. Salam is saying let's have another session with Ellie. That would actually be fun.
You should do it.
Yeah. So okay, important question from Utba. When can we look forward to your next stream? Mm. Do you mean like because is that question directed at Leah?
I think it might be for me because I haven't streamed in 3 months. 3 months.
Right.
Or
Okay.
both. Maybe this weekend. I'm trying to get. I get scared to stream on my channel when I haven't streamed in a while. Like it feels intimidating for some reason. But I'm trying to
Oh,
make myself get back into it this weekend.
that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. So, how do you job hunt? We have one more question from Israel.
Okay.
So, how do you job hunt? Do you send cold emails?
So I don't really like sending emails, so I did not send cold emails. I did send some like cold messages on LinkedIn to people who I noticed have like a similar background to me, like not asking for a referral, but asking them
Yeah,
if they wanted to have a coffee chat with me to talk about the company. Um, but for the most part, I did a mix of clicking apply, which I know, but I would like cold click apply on positions, and then also
yeah,
just like posting my work on Twitter and being vocal about job hunting. Because that I'd have people message me like ask like saying like, hey, my company's hiring, would you want a referral? Like that worked better for me because I don't feel comfortable asking people for referrals.
yeah.
So that's how I job hunted personally.
Okay, cool, cool. I hope that answers your question, Israel. Jen is saying that yeah, you're welcome to come stream with her. So
I would
that's
love that,
cool.
Jen.
Yeah, so we just have 1 minute. So I just want to thank you so much, Leah. This was really it was, I think it was less conversational on my end because I was kind of like, I'm really stressed out. I spent the whole day working, so I guess. But I think I don't know if you're Ellie, hi. I don't know if you're asking if you'd like to do my next coffee chat with me, but you could probably drop your Twitter handle and I'll reach out to you and then we could talk. This stream was, or should I call it? Yeah, the stream of coffee chat was very interesting. Thank you, Jen, Ellie, Utsbar. Thank you, Salam. Thank you for making it very engaging. Yeah, I really enjoyed reading the comments in the comment section. Yeah, so yeah, thank you so much, Leah. It's 6 on the dot, 6 p.m.
Mhm.
my time. I guess it's 11 a.m. your time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah.
Thank you for having
Right.
me. Sorry,
Yeah.
I answer stuff like I get nervous and will ramble, so sorry my answers were kind of
No, yeah,
long.
no, you were actually so calm and collected. I didn't even notice any form of anxiety. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That makes me feel better.
So I said something very funny. He said the type of questions I asked. I should be playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
You asked really good questions. You're very good at like the
Oh
interview
really?
stuff. Mhm.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if someone can do that as like a job. Like
If so, you
like
would
come,
be a
yeah, I
senior
think yeah.
professional interviewer.
Right. Okay, so yeah. So if you could share your handle, Utba, Ellie, every other person, so I could follow you on Twitter and or LinkedIn. Yeah, whatever platform you use, whatever social media platform you use. Um Ellie says maybe Deborah can be a tech interviewer someday.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. That would be cool actually. Thank you. Yeah. Bye. Bye. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Okay. I Utbar. Okay. Thank you. Okay, bye. Bye guys.